How many people are they expecting?
They don't know, but I guess we go this way. They don't know, but a lot of the teachers are kind of not scheduling a very rigorous day academically. So probably quite a few. And, you know, I hate to say that, just all
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hope you're just as excited about me. We got a great speaker, and they're here to tell you what they think. We're going to exercise free speech. It's our right in the country. As responsible citizens, we need to exercise this right. Our first speaker's Dave Barcelona from Alternative Radio. We're really excited to have him here. So let's get him on the
Thanks very much. Good afternoon. See you. It's great to be here. It's good to see you joining hundreds of colleges and universities and high schools all over the United States today that's brought out that's having teachers. It's a very exciting time. I'm thrilled to see students here from New Vista and Boulder High and and you can see my t-shirt, it says the battlefield is between your ears. Put up the fight. And this is a battlefield for your minds. The propaganda campaign to get you to sign off on an elective war that nobody wants and certainly nobody needs, particularly the benighted and long-suffering Iraqi people. But war is good. I do have news for you, ladies and gentlemen. It's very good for General Dynamics. It's terrific for Raytheon and Boeing and Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. They're going to make a killing on this war, literally and figuratively. It's great. War is great for ExxonMobil, for Chevron Texaco, and for the other big the petroleum and oil companies like British Petroleum and Chevron that I just mentioned. So there is a lobby for war, and that lobby is integrated with the oligarchy that's controlling the government. Never before in the United States history has so many top U.S. government officials been literally crafted and manufactured from the oil.
My name's Carlos. I'm a visual anthropologist here at CU. What do you guys do with Rocky Mountain Peace and Justice Center?
Today we're being peacekeepers. We're keeping an eye on the crowd and trying to make sure people don't get rowdy. So we don't need violence in our peace rally.
Great. Yeah, it's nice to hear. Yeah, I think we learned a little lesson from the last one. You know, so terrific, you guys. So you're here to make sure the violence doesn't happen. Right. Well, after all, we're protesting against violence, aren't we? That's exactly right. You know, so truly.
We must go to war. Who wants this war? Who of you want to fight Iraq? Iraq is not threatening you. There is no case, there is no evidence for any immediate Iraqi threat to the United States. There are a package of lies that have been programmed for this made-for-CNN special. I was appalled to see in the bookstore just now, on the big TV screen, Tommy Franks and Donald Rumsfeld giving one of their propaganda, lessons in disinformation about Iraq is doing this, Iraq has this, Iraq is threatening the United States. It's all a bunch of bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta hear it. Colin Powell going to the United Nations and presenting falsified information. Even a document that was cribbed off the internet, stolen off some kid's PhD thesis, and saying this is evidence that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. And then showing two photographs. I mean, this is, you can't invent this stuff. One photograph, purportedly shows an Iraqi, missile silo, and then a truck behind it. And the next photograph shows that, the UN inspectors are approaching, and that, the truck somehow disappears. There was a slight problem with those two photographs. They were taken 2 weeks apart. So it gave a totally false impression. And on down the line. The Arabic is mistranslated. Every single charge that Colin Powell presented to the UN was half-baked and distorted. So it's really important that you join your brothers and sisters all over the country, all over the world. This is the biggest mass movement in the history of the world right now. We are not the focus group, President-elect Bush. We are the people. Thank you very much.
All right, people, I'm glad to see all these signs out here. Thank you for showing your support. Our next speaker is Alan Gilbert from DU. He's a leader in a lot of the peace movements in Colorado. Let's hear it for him.
There are walkouts today at 15 schools in the Denver and Boulder area, including many high schools. My daughter is at Denver School of the Arts, and lo and behold, the Denver Post, which will not print an op-ed piece from me, but they did call twice yesterday to speak to her. The fact is that all over this country and all over the world, people stand aghast at American policy, and the sea is flowing. Already a majority of Americans do not want a war on Bush's terms, do not want a war which is not multilateral. And George Bush is like the legendary King Canute. He is telling the sea, stop at my feet. But they couldn't buy the Turkish parliament. Aznar they've bought, the head of Spain, but 90% of people in Spain oppose the war, and more than 50% oppose American aggression on any terms. The plan for the war, announced in the papers today, it's been out a little while, it's called Shock and Awe. The military plans to send 400 cruise missiles for each of 2 days onto Baghdad, more than all the cruise missiles in the first Gulf War, to scare the military there into giving up the ghost. In the report, they refer to this as a Hiroshima-like attack. If you don't remember any other word from this rally, remember that. The crime of war is aggression. America opposed Iraqi aggression in Kuwait. Today, the committer of unprovoked attack, trying to drag, buy, and steal support in the United Nations Security Councils from leaders, The aggressor in this war is the United States. Today, the enemy of democracy in Iraq, Paul Wolfowitz's words, democracy in Iraq, is the United States. They're going to seize the oil wells. 60% of the Iraqis are Shiites. They'll ally with the Shiites in Iran. 20% are Kurds. Maybe
Signing up people.
The Eco Pledge. We're a nationwide organization. We try to get big corporations to take small steps to be more environmentally friendly. And by signing this, you agree to boycott any companies we're against. Right now, we're against BP Amoco because they want to drill in the Arctic Refuge in Alaska. And you're just agreeing not to work for them.
Wow, okay.
Would you like to sign?
Yeah, I would actually. That would be great. What's your name?
I'm Erin.
They were speaking against American aggression in Iraq. Today, the American empire stands poised to recreate itself. It is no longer an empire merely with 80 bases around the world, 250,000 troops on foreign soil, training every repressive regime in the world. It is now the empire which wants to occupy Iraq, and if it succeeds, lo and behold, there is no exit strategy. They will continue imitating a power rebuilding Iraq and attack somebody else. They are crushing liberty here in the United States. But we have a great tradition, as Thoreau said, I throw my whole weight as a minority of one against this policy. And if every one of us and every one of the people who is standing up to this policy, every one of the people at the City University of New York who are demonstrating all over New York, everybody in Boone, North Carolina who gets out to say no war to the people driving home at night, everyone in Los Angeles and San Francisco and Washington will join their voices to the people around the world. We will stop the American military-industrial complex. We will stop George Bush, the enemy of democracy. We will stop my student Condi Rice, who is presiding over American aggression and a mad American policy. We will have our country back. Thank you.
What do we want? Peace! When do we want it now? What do we want? Peace! When do we want it now? What do we want? Peace! When do we want it now? It is so exciting to see everyone out here today. It's a beautiful day and you're all beautiful. Turkey's recent refusal to allow U.S. troops to deploy from its bases served as a breath of much-needed sanity. On Saturday, hundreds and thousands of anti-war protesters came into the streets of Ankara to voice their opposition to Turkey's involvement in the U.S.'s war agenda. That same day, Turkey's parliament voted 264 in favor of U.S. troops, 251 against, and 19 extensions, and walked away from a $30 billion bribe to serve as a launch pad for U.S. Why did Turkey walk away from a multi-billion-dollar aid plan? How could this happen when Turkey's government had all but guaranteed that this would pass? How could this have occurred when the U.S. had already been carrying heavy equipment to Turkey? The answer? Public opinion does matter. Activism does good. The anti-war movement is standing out here today for a reason. 90% of Turkey's citizens oppose this war, and Turkey said no to the U.S.'s war agenda. The New York Times said that there are two superpowers in the world, the U.S. and public opinion. At times like these, this is made quite apparent. England's government is under the gun. Blair faces revolt from among his own party. France and Russia have been emboldened by raw opposition to this war to stand up to the U.S. and say no to war in Iraq, and don't think for a minute that they would not be taking that strong stance if world opinion did not stand behind them. Bush is pushing forward on this war with an eagerness that seems insane. He is blindly moving forward, even though the whole world is saying no to war on Iraq. What is beautiful about today is that we all stand out here as a very diverse crowd. We have our moderates, our conservatives, our liberals, and our radicals. However, we are all united by the fact that this war is wrong. Yes. We need to remember that. We cannot lose sight of the vision
for us. Maybe less of a disaster than for Iraq.
Taking notes?
Oh yeah.
In the Middle East
Yeah,
and
lots of
other
notes. What you got?
This
Looks pretty
is-
fancy.
It's not really that fancy. Can I put you on camera?
Yeah, sure, why not?
What are you taking notes for?
Oh, I'm a journalism student. I'm just going to write a story about everything that's going on today.
Oh, terrific.
It's pretty interesting. I mean, there were a couple of guys who were like counter-protesters, kind of saying support Bush. So, you know, that's interesting. It's always interesting to get the other side.
Yeah. Where are they? I wonder.
Just right there.
Stalin, Sodom. I see. Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I personally, I think Saddam Hussein's pretty much a monster, but
Sure, yeah,
I
of
just
course.
don't think we should intercede
Yeah.
and make the whole entire Islamic world against us, basically.
Yeah.
You know, but I think we could all agree Saddam's pretty much a monster.
Yeah, I don't think there's any disagreement on that fact. You know. And the thing I was talking to them about, and they seemed pretty convinced. Like one guy was doing most of the talking, but he said that he thought attacking Iraq would make America a safer place, and I think that's the division line. You know, I mean that's because I mean that obviously I think for a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of fear that attacking Iraq is really going to cause many more problems than they have already. I mean, the head of the CIA, George Tenet, has said that terrorist activity would increase as a result of attacking Iraq. I mean, the head of the CIA said that. So, I mean, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of pissed too because my little brother's in the Air Force, and it seems like, to me, you know, the administration isn't taking seriously the fact that they're putting young men's lives on the line. I mean, you know, one of whom is my brother, for a very ill-conceived plan. So, yeah. Is that good?
Yeah, that was great. Thanks.
Yeah. What's your name? Carlos.
Second case, Venezuela was supported a coup in a democratically elected country. And why? Because oil was there, right? And Venezuela, Cuba Chavez and Cuba Chavez, that they don't like, right? And so they support people who are trying to kill, presidentially kill Cuba Chavez twice. Terrorism, right? And so we're supporting this work again. No one in the
No. You say that you want more war.
No, we
do not want war.
We want Saddam Hussein and the murderous regimes of the Middle East.
Okay,
This includes Syria.
This includes
Syria.
the United States armed
This includes
Saddam
Yasser
Hussein.
Arafat. They need to go.
The United States armed Saddam Hussein. Okay, when you show me some facts on that, I'll buy it. The facts on that is Donald Rumsfeld embraced him. Donald Rumsfeld visited him when they were against the Iranians.
In order to escape a bigger threat, what was perceived as a bigger threat at the time of Iran. Iran is still a threat.
We armed them all.
Iraq
the U.S.
is a threat.
intervenes when we can and tries to help both sides.
We're going to save
We help
millions.
Iraq, we help Iran. So, like Hiroshima, we're going to kill. We're going to kill people to save people. But who decides who we kill? Who decides who we kill?
Saddam Hussein.
Evidently George Bush does. No, George Bush is targeting the Iraqi military and the people that support Saddam,
Saddam Hussein
not the Iraqi people. We are not going to bomb children. We are not going to bomb. We're not specifically going to go look for baby factories and milk factories. Those are accidents of war. No one is going to try to bomb children. Okay? If he wants to stand in the way of that, and that's what's going to happen.
Next to schools and hospitals. That's his mistake.
That is completely on him. That is 100% his fault.
The man's got to go. The man's got to go.
I see some
The conversations on the economic, human, and political justifications of countries of war.
That's right. And most of them are on the microphone right now.
Dictatorial regimes of the Middle East,
Get your boy in line, because y'all have different messages,
including
you know?
Syria, including
You guys aren't unified in your message. And you guys aren't either.
Because he's an individual and has his his opinion.
That's right.
And I'm an
That's
individual
true.
and have
And
my
I can't
opinion. You have your opinion.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. You know, because I got gassed by my government. That's not my Colorado Springs.
Okay, what were you
so
doing?
He says Saddam gasses his own people. Well, the U.S. government gasses their own people.
Okay, we don't use
have the right to
anthrax. There's a
protest.
big difference between CS gas and anthrax.
You do.
Okay?
You have that right as an American to protest.
You don't know
I
that.
applaud you.
Where the gas came
Go to Iraq. Try to protest the Iraqi government.
I mean,
Not
the
going to happen.
8,000 pages that were missing from the weapons declaration included receipts from arms that were provided by Donald Rumsfeld.
Okay,
your favorite
that's
defense
fine.
I
minister.
That's right. That's fine.
of your ability
That's
to
fine.
speak out against President Bush and his efforts to rid the world of Saddam Hussein and other terrorist regimes.
I'm not speaking
Please,
out for anyone. to
Please
rid
accept
the
my
world of
right.
anything.
Please accept my right to support President Bush in his efforts to rid the same world of
If
the
we
same
get into the
regimes.
war, we might not even have the right to stand up and express anything.
And if you honestly believe that if we just let him be,
I don't believe.
that all will be okay, you're highly mistaken.
I'm not saying
Giving
Everyone
him
thought
time.
everyone was
When they
okay
go in there,
September
when
10th
President
too,
Bush
and
goes
that's what
into Iraq,
happened.
trust me,
Okay?
he will. When he goes
I
in
can't do
there,
anything about history, you know.
and
It's
when
already
they find the
happened.
mass graves
Hey,
and
you
the
know,
chemical weapons,
all this great war, this war machine we could have used to prevent September 11th. The war machine
That's
was
right.
on the East Coast. There were
That's right. We
fighter
weren't
jets that
doing our
could have
job.
been
You're
scrambled.
We weren't doing our job.
The
and now we
Islamic,
are.
the Islamic
We are trying to
militants,
correct
the
that.
Islamic militants, and the Islamic Jihad are determined to destroy Americans and Israelis, and they would have found a way regardless. Of the American people as a whole.
Okay, what about the Earth people?
What about the Earth?
What do you care about the people on Earth?
Of course I do, but when you have people like Saddam Hussein and Yasser Arafat and the president of Syria,
We do care
going
about people
around
like
killing people,
9/11,
they need
okay?
to go.
We care about those people.
about
There were
people
children
like
dead.
today.
You got dead bodies all over the ground. Where's all the bodies
see
from
the news
9/11?
today?
Huh?
Did you see the news
People
today?
lost
Yeah.
children
Did you see
and
the
families in
15
that too.
bodies
How
that
come
were
there's not
brought
children
in the
and
bus,
wives
body
bleeding
parts
all over
being
the street from
pulled off the
9/11?
trees? That will
You
stop.
guys are missing
One way or
those
another, my
bodies.
friend.
Yeah, with more violence.
One way or another, my friend, it will stop.
So violence will
One
stop
way
violence.
or another, my friend, it will stop. If that's what they understand,
So violence will stop violence.
they
That's
will
the only
be
thing
forcibly
Saddam understands.
removed. They
That's the
will
only
be
thing he
forcibly
understands.
removed
So
from their abilities to kill other people. They will be forcibly removed from that.
So you're going to
They
meet.
will be forced. You
going
can
to meet
interpret this.
force with force.
You can interpret this any way you want. The regimes, the dictatorial regimes that massacre people, that have no feeling for innocence, one way or the other, will be removed by force if necessary.
Like the one in Guatemala?
I'm not familiar with that.
I thought not.
I don't have
I
to.
thought not.
Oh boy.
So I'm not the enemy. If there is one here, I don't even want to go into that conversation. But what do you have here, and what's your name?
My name is Deborah Friedman. I'm the
Okay.
director of the Hillel, which is the Jewish students organization on campus. And we have some flyers that we prepared for a talk later that's going to be given by Ira Torres, who's a professor on this campus. He's going to be speaking about what's going on in Israel, I guess, and how he thinks that relates to what's going on with Iraq. So we made these posters that say in English and in Hebrew that Ira Torres is not the voice of the Jewish people, because many Jewish students on this campus feel very strongly that he does not represent our views. And I agree with that.
What views does he represent?
Do you guys want to add into that? Sort of. Basically,
Is he, I know how to, like,
completely misrepresents Judaism and what Jewish people stand for, Jewish beliefs, Jewish history, Jewish culture, and just makes a joke out of it, pretty much.
Yeah, he's a professor in the religious studies department. He teaches a class called Judaism, and basically...
Is he pro-Palestinian?
He's very pro-Palestinian,
Oh, I see, okay.
anti-Israeli, but also within his class, even in an academic setting, he basically talks about things that are just not true about the Jewish religion and Jewish culture.
Well, I suppose it's really hard for one person to say they're a representative of an entire people. And of course, that's just not happening. We're all plural, you know.
Right, and I think the problem in his particular case is because of his position within the university, because he teaches that class, he's seen as representing Jewish students or Jewish people's views, and that's a real problem. I mean, he's in his class likened Israelis to Nazis, which is inaccurate and incredibly offensive. So that's why we're ready to go to his talk today and express other Jewish views.
Terrific.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's nice hearing from you guys.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Well done.
One day they came for the communists, and I said nothing because I was not a communist. Then one day they came, the people of the Jewish faith, and I said nothing because I was born a Catholic. Then one day they came for the Unionists, and I said nothing because I was not a Unionist. Then one day they came for me, and I could say nothing because I was just as guilty as they were for not speaking out and saying that we all have a right to freedom.
Our next speaker is part of the Rocky Mountain Peace and Justice Center as well as the Green Party of Colorado, Ron Forthover.
Thanks for being here today. Give yourself a hand for being out here expressing democracy. This is what democracy looks like. Democracy is messy. It has discussion. It has people complaining and saying this is not right. That's what we're doing. We're exercising our democracy. This is a democracy even if our selected president doesn't agree. He thinks that we're a focus group. He said, first of all, you know, signs of protest, it's like deciding, well, I'm going to decide policy based on a focus group. The role of a leader is to decide policy based upon the security, in this case, the security of the people. Will you be more secure after an attack on Iraq? There are a couple people in American history that have spoken out on a preemptive war. All of us have heard this term, preventive war, since the earliest days of Hitler. I recall that it is about the first time I heard it. In this day and time, I don't believe there is such a thing. And frankly, I wouldn't even listen to anyone seriously that came in and talked about such a thing. President Dwight David Eisenhower. Our position is that whatever grievances a nation may have, however objectionable, it finds a status quo. Aggressive warfare is an illegal means for settling those grievances or for altering those conditions. Supreme Court Justice Robert Jackson, the American prosecutor in the Nuremberg trials. What does that say about our leaders today? What we have are a bunch of chicken hawks led by somebody who at best was AWOL and at worst was a deserter during wartime. Pushing for the idea of an attack. I just want to talk briefly about the idea of regime change and our concern about the Iraqis that are now being used as an excuse, because every other single excuse that the Bush administration has raised for this attack has been refuted and shown to be a bunch of garbage. So what we're talking about is we have such a tremendous concern about the welfare of the Iraqi people. This is now the cause that we're going to go in and try and rescue the Iraqis. After the first Gulf War, Bush the First, George the First, came up and told the Iraqi people to rise up. They did.
They did.
And what happened?
30,000 died.
And we left them. We allowed Saddam to go after them. And killed and killed and killed while we sat there on our hands doing nothing. A quote saying in the Clinton administration what the Clinton administration thought about the Iraqi people. Leslie Stahl in 60 Minutes
asked Madeleine Albright, who was then the U.S. ambassador to the UN. We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And, you know, is the price worth it? Well, Madeleine Albright, I think this is a very hard choice. But the price, we think the price is worth it. Have we changed, or is it this black gold that is driving us and this idea of world domination? If we care about the Iraqi people, we will work to end the economic sanctions and allow
he's being very deliberate about it.
hopefully to be really powerful.
If Bush were a war, we would have been in and out of there months ago. So he is weighing all the options. He is playing the international game, but he's sticking by his guns, and he's not standing down.
Again, don't let George Bush's comments about focus group convince you that our efforts are not worthwhile. There were a couple presidents when I was your age that talked about the protesters as having no effect. LBJ didn't worry about the protesters at all. We had COINTELPRO and all these things going on. He wound up not running for the Democratic nomination. Yeah. Richard Nixon, of course, he wasn't worried about the protesters. We have the power of the people on our side. People around the world are united against this. We can make a difference. Let's stop this war.
Many of us out here interested in stopping this war. But if we stop this war, we still haven't won. Beyond this war, we need to fight for a world based on peace and justice and compassion. And I don't think we win that world by dehumanizing or demonizing people who disagree with us on the war. We do it by engaging the world in a compassionate way. I'd like to play this song and dedicate it to the people who live their lives on the margins, and to, if we go to war, the U.S. troops and the Iraqi troops who will die for our world's addiction to war. Once I was a soldier, I fought on foreign sands for you. And once I was a hunter, I brought home fresh meat for you. And once I was a lover, I searched behind your eyes for you. But soon there'll be another to tell you I was just a lie. But sometimes I wonder, just for a while, would you ever remember me? And though you have forgotten all of our rubbish dreams, And though you have forgotten and all of our other dreams, and the days that we smiled, and the hours that ran wild, for the magic of our eyes, and the silence of our words. But sometimes I wonder, just for a while, would you ever remember me? Would you ever remember me?